Imagine a grand mansion surrounded by luxurious gardens where wealth seems to have no limits. Now, picture a man who has everything except what he desires most: to be a father. James Carter, a millionaire with a broken heart, lives a life of perfect appearances, but inside, he carries a pain that money cannot heal. James has tried everything: treatments, medical consultations, even adoption. Nothing worked until one day he meets Emily, a young maid who enters his life like a ray of sunshine on a cloudy day. She is kind, hardworking, and mysterious. Yes, Emily has a way of hiding something, but James is so desperate for a change that he decides to ignore the signs. And then it happens. James and Emily marry in an intimate ceremony. And to everyone's surprise, Emily gives birth to two beautiful children. James finally feels that his life is complete. He has a family, a home filled with laughter and love. But wait a minute, something isn't right. Emily starts acting strangely. She receives late-night calls, leaves the house without notice, and sometimes seems distant, as if she's hiding a secret. James, now a happy father, tries to ignore these little things, but an old photo found in the attic changes everything. The photo shows Emily with a man who looks very much like James. Who is he? Why has Emily never mentioned this person? And what does this have to do with the children she gave to James? As James begins to investigate, he discovers that the man in the photo is Michael, his brother, who disappeared years ago after a family feud. Michael, the brother everyone thought was dead. What does he want? Why is he connected to Emily? And what does this mean for the family that James loves so much? Now, James faces a choice: continue living in the illusion of a perfect family, or uncover the truth, no matter how painful it may be. But be careful, James, because the truth might be more shocking than you imagine. And so begins a story of love, betrayal, and secrets that will leave everyone breathless. Stay tuned, because what comes next will change everything. James Carter finally had everything he had always dreamed of: a family. Emily, his wife, was the devoted mother he never imagined he would find, and their two children, Liam and Sophia, were the light of his eyes. The mansion, once silent and cold, now echoed with laughter and playfulness. It seemed perfect, but you know what they say about things being too good to be true, don't you? Emily was a loving mother, but there was something different about her. Sometimes, James would catch her gazing at the horizon, as if she were waiting for something or someone. Other times, she would disappear for hours, saying she was going to the market, but would return without any bags. James tried not to think too much about it. After all, she had given him the greatest gift of life: a family. But then, one night, everything changed. James was in his office reviewing documents when he heard Emily speaking softly in the hallway. He approached silently and heard something that sent a chill down his spine. "Michael, I can't do this anymore. He's going to find out." Michael? The name echoed in James's mind like thunder. Who was Michael? And why did Emily sound so scared? The next day, James decided to investigate. He rummaged through the attic, where he found a dusty box full of old photos. And there it was, a photo of Emily with a man who looked like him. But it wasn't him. It was Michael, his brother, who had disappeared years ago after a family feud. James felt the ground disappear beneath his feet. What did Michael have to do with Emily? And why had she never mentioned this? Confronted, Emily tried to explain. "He was just a friend, James. Someone who helped me when I needed it most." But James didn't believe her. There was more to it, he felt. And then he decided to do the unthinkable. a DNA test. While waiting for the results, James began to notice other strange things. Liam had Michael's eyes. Sophia had the same smile. Coincidence? He didn't know, but one thing was certain. The perfect family he had built was about to crumble. And in the midst of it all, one question kept pounding in James's head. What else was Emily hiding? He didn't know, but one thing was clear. The truth was about to come out, and nothing would ever be the same again. While James waited for the DNA test results, he decided to investigate Emily's past. Who was this woman who had entered his life like a blessing, but now seemed to hide so many secrets? He started with the small things. The stories she told about her childhood, the places she said she had lived, the people she mentioned. But something didn't add up. Emily always talked about a small town in the countryside, where she grew up amidst hardships. She said her parents had died when she was young, and that she had to work hard to survive. But when James tried to find records of that town, he discovered it didn't exist. No mention, no map, nothing. It was as if Emily had made it all up. Intrigued, James hired a private detective to investigate. What he discovered was shocking. Emily wasn't who she said she was. Her real name was Elizabeth, and she came from a wealthy family that had lost everything in a financial scandal. Her parents weren't dead. They were alive but distant after a series of bad decisions that ruined their lives. And Michael wasn't just a friend. He was Emily's ex-fiancé. Yes, Emily and Michael had been engaged years ago, but the relationship ended dramatically. Michael disappeared after a nasty fight, and Emily was left alone, penniless, and directionless. That's when she decided to change her name, her life, and start over. But why did she choose James? And what did Michael have to do with all of this? James felt the weight of betrayal. He loved Emily, but now he didn't know who to trust. Meanwhile, Emily began acting even more strangely. She spent hours on the phone, always speaking in a low voice, and seemed increasingly distant. One night, James found her crying in the children's room, holding a photo of Michael. "Why do you have this?" he asked, trying to stay calm. Emily looked at him with tears in her eyes and whispered, "Because I can't escape the past, James. It always catches up with me." And then the DNA test results arrived. James opened the envelope with trembling hands, prepared for the worst. But what he read was even more shocking than he imagined. Liam and Sophia were not his children. And worse, they were Michael's children. James felt his world crumble. He looked at Emily, who was now crying uncontrollably, and asked why. "Why did you do this to me?" Emily tried to explain, but the words seemed to fail her. And then she said something that left James speechless. "I didn't have a choice, James. He made me. He said he would destroy you if I didn't do what he wanted." Who was Michael, really? And what else was he capable of? James didn't know, but one thing was certain. The life he knew was about to change forever. James Carter couldn't sleep. The results of the DNA test echoed in his mind like a never-ending nightmare. Liam and Sophia, the children he loved as his own, were not his. And worse, they were Michael's children, the brother he thought he had lost forever. How was this possible? And why had Emily lied to him all these years? As James tried to process everything, he began to notice small details that had previously seemed insignificant. Emily always avoided talking about the past, changing the subject whenever he tried to ask. She also had the habit of locking the closet in their bedroom, something James never questioned. Until now. One night, while Emily slept, James decided to investigate. He carefully opened the closet, finding a box hidden in the back. Inside it were letters, photos, and a diary. The letters were from Michael, written in a tone that mixed threats and promises. "You know what will happen if you don't do what I say." One of them read, "James will never forgive you when he finds out the truth." Emily's diary was even more revealing. She wrote about her fear of Michael, about how he manipulated and threatened her. "I didn't want to do this," she wrote in one entry, "but he gave me a choice: destroy James or lose everything. I had no choice." James felt a mix of anger and compassion. Emily had lied to him. Yes, but she was also a victim. Michael was the real villain of this story. But who was Michael, really? And what did he want? The next day, James decided to confront Emily. He showed her the letters and the diary and asked, "Why didn't you tell me the truth? Why didn't you ask for help?" Emily cried, saying she was afraid. "Michael is dangerous, James. He said he would do something to you if I told the truth. I couldn't risk it." James knew he had to act. He couldn't let Michael control their lives. But how to face a man who always seemed to be one step ahead? While he thought of a plan, something unexpected happened. Michael showed up at the mansion. He arrived as if he owned the place, with a cold smile on his lips. "Hello, brother," Michael said, looking directly at James. "It seems you finally discovered the truth. But do you really think you can stop me?" James felt a chill down his spine. Michael wasn't just a ghost from the past. He was a real threat. And now, he was here, ready to destroy everything James had built. What did Michael want? And how far was he willing to go to get it? James didn't know, but one thing was certain: the battle between the brothers was just beginning. Michael Carter stood there in front of James, like a shadow from the past that should never have returned. His smile was cold, calculating, and his eyes shone with a mix of hatred and triumph. "Did you really think you could escape me, brother?" he said, walking calmly around the room, as if he owned the place. James felt his blood boil. "What do you want, Michael? Why are you doing this?" Michael laughed, a dry and humorless sound. "What do I want? Justice. You always had everything, James. The fortune, the power, the respect. And me? I was left behind, as if I didn't matter. Now, it's my turn." Emily entered the room, pale and trembling. "Michael, please, this has gone too far," she said, her voice faltering. Michael turned to her, and for a moment, his face showed something that looked like remorse. But then he hardened. "You betrayed my trust, Emily. Now, you're going to pay for it." James intervened, placing himself between Michael and Emily. "Enough, Michael. This ends now. You won't hurt anyone else." Michael looked at him with disdain. "Do you really think you can stop me? I've planned everything, James. Every detail. And now, you're going to see what happens when someone tries to take what's mine." That's when Michael revealed his plan. He didn't just want the family fortune, he wanted to destroy James. "You're going to lose everything," he said with a cruel smile. "Your family, your money, your reputation. And when you're at rock bottom, I'll be there, laughing in your face." James felt a chill down his spine. He knew Michael was dangerous, but now he realized just how far his brother was willing to go. He needed to act, and fast. But how to face someone who always seemed to be one step ahead? While James tried to think of a plan, Michael made one last shocking revelation. "Oh, and there's one more thing," he said, looking directly at Emily.